Okay guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to sound less interviewee when you're appointment setting, or even when you're doing your sales calls, because I find that's a big problem that a lot of you guys face, and you want to try and kick it. I know you do. It's something that you know you shouldn't be doing, but when it comes time for that sales call, when it comes time to get in the inbox, you just can't help but do it. And I feel you. It's hard, especially if you're new to the game where you're just so reliant on a script. So I'll give you a couple tips on how to sound less interviewee when doing this stuff, when doing your job. Because you know it yourself. Like, if you have come across an appointment setter or a salesperson, or if you were to get approached by one of those two people, and if they started sounding very interviewee, just listing question after question, you can just tell they're reading off a script, then you'd be annoyed yourself. So I get where you're coming from. I know it's very annoying, but you just can't seem to kick it. So these are some ways to sound less interviewee. Let me write it down. Might be the title for today's video, but yeah. Let's go with that. So sorry. Okay, so the first thing is, usually this is how it's gonna go. If you're sounding interview, it's because you're just doing question. Whoa. It's because you're doing, I don't know what's going on with this, guys, but yeah, that's very weird. Anyway, if you're, yeah, that's super weird. I don't know what is going on. There we go. Okay, cool. So usually you sound very interviewee because you're just doing question after question, reading off the script and not deviating from it slightly. Question after question, that's all you're doing. You're gonna annoy the other person, the prospect, and then they're gonna dip. They're gonna leave. So some ways to make it more conversational is put things in between the questions. Well, I like to think of it as like padding in a way. Questions I like to think of as a punch almost. And then, because it's very direct. Like, if you're asking someone a question and you keep doing it over and over again, it has the ability to annoy someone or make them feel some type of way. So you want to pad it, kind of like add layers in between. So things like, I'll say the first tip is break the questions up. How do you break the questions up? What do you mean by that, Matt? A couple ways. Giving validation. 2 is value. 3, personal story, new perspective, anything. Because if this is going to sound very, very calculated, but when you think of all the times you've had a conversation with someone, and especially a really good conversation with a really good friend, it wasn't just question after question after question after question, was it? No. You're probably telling a story in between the question, and then you ask your question, and they say something, and then you're talking shit, and you laugh here and there, you add some humor. You know, it's not linear. It's just not a question after question after question, and you can find yourselves going on for hours, especially if it's a really good friend. You can just go on for hours, talk about anything. You want to treat the same way with your appointment setting. And I know it's hard again, especially if you're new and you know you have like money on your mind, you want to get that commission. But trust me, guys, if you just approach appointment setting like you're talking to someone you already know, if you assume familiarity, then it makes it a lot easier, and you are going to get the result you want. Break the questions up, assume familiarity. So not only is it going to make you less robotic, the energy is also going to rub off onto them. Now, it sounds very woo-woo, but it's true. Even if it's through a screen. If you literally just go in there, you set the frame that you're just going to talk to them like a friend, and they just happen to need, or you see that you can help them with your product or service, then that's what's going to make appointment setting very easy. That's literally how I approach my appointment setting nowadays. I think it does come with reps, which is going to be the second thing. It's the answer you don't want to hear, but it's true. It's reps. Volume. Like, the way I literally just have a natural, organic conversation with my prospects now, with my leads. It's insane. It's insane how organic it can be. Because I'll literally just be asking, I'll literally just say hey to them sometimes. I wouldn't even be thinking about the script anymore. I'm just gonna like say, hey, how are you doing? Where are you from? What are you doing right now? What's keeping you busy? It's like I'm treating it as a normal conversation, and it still gets me results. It still gets me results. That's what matters, and it helps me do that. So I'm not going to deviate from that, am I? So anyways, let's stop going on tangents. Assume familiarity. These are just a couple ways you can break the questions up. So validation basically means things like, yeah, understood, makes sense. I'm almost hesitant. I'm almost hesitant to give this away because it's literally what I do day to day. So it might, I don't know, dude. I'll give away the farm here. Yeah, understood, makes sense. Gotcha. That's my personal favorite. Stuff like this to make them feel heard and listened to. Value. What does that mean? It's like, say that you ask a question, maybe some advice, like small golden nuggets. I don't know. It's anything to not go question. Whatever feels natural to you in the moment, because you're probably asking, okay, which one should I do? Like, whichever one feels natural to you in the moment. If you want to tell a story, if it's relevant, then go ahead, tell a little story. The story doesn't need to be explained. New perspective. So things like thoughts, beliefs. Things like, I think, personally, I think XYZ. That's the first thing. So break the questions up, assume familiarity, because now you have this padding in between. So the questions don't hit as hard. So it doesn't just feel like an interview anymore. It feels like an actual conversation, which is what you have to be having. You're kind of padding it. Yeah, you're kind of padding it in between, but ultimately you're going to lead it to the goal of booking them in if they're a good fit. I'll draw a phone here. Yeah, whatever. Number 2, I said it's reps and volume. So this is going to take practice. This is going to take thousands of conversations to be had. Because then your subconscious is just going to fill in the gaps. Yeah, it's just going to fill in the gaps. Like, there's stuff that I can tell you all this stuff, but A, it might not work for you in your situation, and B, you might have come up with a different solution, something even better for your situation. So therefore, you want to take, as much as I know you guys have the content and you think it's really valuable, use it definitely, but experiment, see what works for you, take it with a grain of salt, and you're only going to know that through reps and volume. From having thousands of like, I'm only able to come to these conclusions by having thousands and thousands of DM conversations now, and I've had hundreds of sales schools now. So there's certain things that would work for me that I find and probably wouldn't work for you, but maybe it does work for you, so you have to try that out. So reps and volume is how you learn. You can't just digest all my YouTube videos or someone else's YouTube videos all day and expect to become the top setter on your team. No, you need to take action behind that. So the third thing with sounding less interviewy, I would say is, what would I say? I'd say do the, what's it called? The over the shoulder appointment setting. Over the shoulder appointment setting exercise. So I'll link it up here in the corner. For those who haven't watched the video, essentially what you do is you find an accountability partner, ideally who's also an appointment setter. Excuse me. So appointment setter, and then every single day, oh my God. Yeah, every single day, you take turns, one of you share a screen, you go through your inbox, and then in the meantime, one of them's behind, like basically giving you advice as to what to say, what not to say, should you say this, just helping you navigate the conversation, basically. And then once you're done, flip it over to the other side and you help them with their conversations. And then you're not done until both of you have cleared your inbox for that day or hit your KPIs. So do that. That's the third thing, because then they're going to be able to point out your blind spots. They're going to be able to point out, okay, you're sounding very, very interviewy here. You're sounding very salesy here. Don't do that. Say it this way. Speaking of saying it this way, think about, you want to be thinking about not necessarily what to say, but how you say it. how you say it over what you say. Because I can ask, and this is in my appointment setting manifesto. Real ones know what that is, but you can ask different questions and still get the exact same piece of information you need to know to get them on the call. So for example, let's say you want to know what their goals are. If you want to know what their goals are, if that's part of your process and you need to know that, you can either ask it like, and I'm not saying this doesn't work, but I'll show you the second way, which I found to be more successful. You can either ask straight up, what are your goals for the next 6 to 12 months? Now, some of you might not like this. You might think it's very salesy. You might think it's very interviewy. And then they're going to leave me on red. And yeah, you might be right. So instead, what you can do is think about, what is another way I can ask the question? Or what's another question I can ask and still get the same response, or same sort of response? So let me just give you some riz. Let me give you another. You can copy this, by the way. So what are your goals for the next 6 to 12 months? So some people might not like that. The prospect might not like that. I think it sells. Instead of what you ask, you can ask, what sort of plans do you have for the next? You can say next to 6 to 12 months, for next month, for the near future. This is the most casual way. That seems a lot less interview. That seems a lot less salesy. It's almost as if a friend would ask that, compared to, what are your goals for the next 12 months? Do you see what I mean? So you're still gonna get the same answer. So if they say here, new car, new house, 20K a month, they could give you the same answer. What sort of plans do you have for the near future? Or what sort of plans do you have moving forward this month? Something like that. They could say the same thing. They could say new car, new house, 20K a month. Right? So think about how you say it. How you say what you're going to say instead of what you say. Again, this also means deviating slightly off of a script or a framework. You want to be think about more of a framework compared to a script. I mean, scripts are, I gave this analogy, like if you went on a date and you had a script in front of you as to what to say, you look like an absolute retard. Like your date would probably walk out within the first 5 minutes. Whereas if you just show up there, you assume a familiarity, and you just let the conversation flow, then you're going to get the result you want. You don't need a script. You just go off of what they say. You go with the flow. And then you can also think about how you say certain things so you get the same result, compared to, just think about how you say certain things. So those are some ways you can sound less interviewy. Break the questions up, assume familiarity. Assume that it's someone you already know. It's not just another. Don't go into it like it's another cold prospect. That's what you don't want to do, because everyone else does that. Every other appointment setter does that. So you want to stand out a bit, and it all starts with the mind. So assume familiarity. Break the questions up with a couple things like these. Whatever feels most natural to you. Let me put that down actually. Just go with the flow. Number 2 is reps and volume. So none of this is going to work unless you actually try it out in the real world. Number 3 is do the appointment setting exercise, the over-the-shoulder appointment setting exercise. So find a friend, look in your network, just get someone at least to review conversations, because it'll really help. It's like mock calls. It's like with sales, you run mock calls with your friend or your accountability partner, and then it's like you're doing the real thing almost. So same thing here. Number 4, how you say it is more important than what you say. Number 5 is just go with the flow. So I hope this video was extremely valuable. I don't know many people who's gonna make this type of video. And if they start making this type of video, just know that they came from me. But I'm gonna stop talking shit. This is how you sound less interviewee in your appointment setting. Even in sales too, you can apply this in sales, but This is how you sound less interview. This is how you just stop drilling them with question after question. This is how you stop getting, are you just trying to sell me a product? Are you just trying to pitch me your program? I'm not interested. That's how you stop getting that. Okay, so if you got a ton of value out of this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and share this with a friend. If you are serious about replacing your 9 to 5, or if you know you're meant for more and you want to get started with appointment setting, if you want to get started with high ticket sales and get a guaranteed placement over the next 12 weeks, we'll train you up. We've got the community. We'll give you a guaranteed placement once you feel you're ready, and you can start making 5 to 10K a month plus. Link in the description below if you want to see you're a good fit, and if you're interested. You can either speak with me or the team. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the other side. Link is in the description and the pinned comment if you are interested, and I'll see you in the next one.